Kisses.
Hi, this is Kimberly. This is one of those videos that I promised a long time ago. I mean, I must have, because it was in my half-ass undone video folder, and I told you I was going to try and finish up a bunch of those. And this is an HLN special from July 2019, one of their many, many specials. This was, I mentioned it in chapter 28, Letters from Christopher, so that was a long time ago. And it's called Lies, Crimes, and Video, Killer Dad Chris Watts Speaks. We already know most of the information, but this is when they interviewed some of his newer girlfriends, and when Anna was speaking with him, I don't believe they speak any longer. And just wanted to bring this to you just because I mentioned it, and I was going to do it a long time ago. As I said, I'm cleaning up my undone video folder. Hope you're having a great week. Much love and peace. And thank you for listening.
Frederick, Colorado, a small town in the shadows of the Rocky Mountains, not far from Denver. It's just before 2 a.m. on Saratoga Trail, and Shanann Watts is getting home from a business trip to Arizona. As she punches the code for her front door, Shanann has no idea what awaits inside.
County Communications, this is Stacy.
Hi, Stacey. My name's Nicole, and I'm calling because I'm concerned about a friend of mine. I dropped her off at her house at 2 in the morning last night, and I haven't been able to get a hold of her this morning. She won't answer the door. She won't answer phone calls. She won't answer text messages. They have 2 little girls that are 3 and 4. I mean, there's no movement in the house whatsoever.
What's her name?
Shanann Watts.
We first got word that Shanann was missing. She was pregnant, had 2 young daughters.
It isn't just the very pregnant Shanann that Nicole is worried about. There's Bella and Celeste, 3 and 4 years old. It was their first day at school, and they weren't there. Shanann is married to Chris. He's 33 years old, and by all accounts, all you have to do is look on social media, talk to any of their friends and family, and they'll tell you that this seemed like a very happy marriage.
On Facebook, they seemed like the perfect couple. They always were in photos together. They were smiling. You saw Chris Watts playing with the kids. They seemed like the perfect family. This was a loving dad. This was a loving mom. These were 2 adorable little girls and a mom who had a baby on the way and was so excited for that baby to come. You kind of fell in love with Shanann. I mean, she had such personality, and she really lived her life on Facebook.
And just 2 months earlier, Shanann had broken the news to Chris she was pregnant with a boy they planned to name Nico.
Hi.
Here, Nicole?
Yes.
Okay. What's going on?
So, my friend, we were out of town for a business trip this weekend.
Right.
And I dropped her off at 2 o'clock this morning. She's 15 weeks pregnant. She wasn't feeling well, and she had a doctor's appointment this morning at 9. Her husband and her supposedly are separating, but she didn't know this. She thought they were just having issues. He disclosed that to me today.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. There's not
The girl went on a play date, but they're 4 and 2. They're on a play date. Why would she take a car? They're both in person.
You do?
I do. There's a band on it. They have the thing flipped up here.
Oh. What about the garage door?
I don't
Is there?
Hey, Chris, I'm
Officer Coonrod for a police permit. Pretty good. So, do you have any idea where your wife is? Shannon, are you home? Police department, if anyone's inside, make yourself known.
There was no way to get into the house. The front door was latched shut. If Shanann Watts was inside, the only way to get in was through the garage.
Just as Officer Coonrod is about to break through the front door, Chris,
Behavior.
He can. I mean, that's up to him. It's his house. He has...
I'm giving permission to walk to my daughter's house.
You checked upstairs? She's not there. I just want to make sure she's not passed out somewhere. Check in the house for consent. Oh. Well. Does she work?
Yeah, she works from home.
Oh, from home?
She works in assisted life work.
You can feel the tension the moment that Chris interacts with Nicole. There seems to be, she knows something's up. It's really interesting to kind of watch the body language because you can almost see on Nicole's face, I feel like, she is not wanting to believe that he could have something to do with it.
Can you look at your camera and see for their security system to see when she left?
That's what I left out the front door.
Because you told me that she went on a play date with the girls. And then
That's what she told me.
Daddy said you told her that
She went with some friends she went to go to a friend's house with the kids. That's why I knew they weren't at school.
Daddy said you told her that she left in the middle of the night.
Oh no, she didn't leave in the middle of the night.
According to Chris, he wakes his wife up. She's only been in bed for a few hours. But he wakes her up to tell her that the spark is gone, that the love is lost, that he wants to split up. And he claims that she responds by saying she's taking the children to visit a friend the next day and doesn't mention who that friend is.
What was the conversation this morning you guys had?
It was about us selling the house and separation.
And how'd she take that?
We were both pretty emotional. I was both crying.
with no sign of Shanann and the girls, officers wrap up their search of the house and leave Chris there alone for the night.
We appreciate you letting us go through your house. No problem. I'm definitely not in there.
We're actually just handing out these flyers regarding the missing woman and her children.
Oh, yes.
Chris Officer Lyons with the Frederick Police Department, Southwest Press. And we've got Boulder County Sheriff's Office. She can't. Hey, so we brought in some extra resources to try to locate your family. With your permission, we've got 3 different canines available. We'd like to collect some scent and kind of get the dogs in motion if you're good with that. They are going to need to come inside the house, kids' rooms, any of your wife's articles, anything like that. Is that okay with you? You do understand it's completely voluntary. Okay, perfect.
It was unlike anything I'd ever seen before as a reporter. I mean, you had the national media there. You had people that were everywhere in that neighborhood. I mean, I'd never seen that many cameras from all over the country in front of that house.
Hey, Chris. So we need to have everybody step out of the house.
Because we don't want the dog to get confused.
Correct.
In the midst of all of this chaos, his wife has disappeared. His 2 little baby girls are gone. Chris Watts is standing on his porch deciding to give interviews to 3 different TV stations.
I don't know where my kids are. I don't know where Shanann is. It's not something I could ever fathom would happen in my lifetime, and I have no inclination of where she is.
This might be a tough question, but did you guys get into an argument before?
It wasn't like an argument. We had an emotional conversation, but I'll leave it at that. But I just want them back. I just want them to come back. Shanann, Bella, Celeste, if you're out there, just come back. Like, if somebody has her, just please bring her back. I need to see everybody. I need to see everybody again. This house is not complete without anybody here. Please bring her back.
His demeanor always struck everyone who watched it as very odd, very cold, entirely inconsistent with what we would expect from someone whose wife and two very young daughters just were up and missing.
Something just felt off about this story from the very beginning. It was bizarre. I mean, his behavior was bizarre, his body language was bizarre.
As the sun sets on day 2, there's still no sign of Shanann and no sign of Bella or Celeste. What Chris doesn't know is that police have a close eye on him and are watching his every move, looking for any unusual activity on Saratoga Trail. But Chris is about to break and, in his own words, describe what happened to his missing family.
I woke her up, I got on top of her. She just told me, like, to get off of her. And she's like, I knew there was somebody else, I knew there was somebody else, I knew there was somebody else.
Frederick, Colorado. Population just under 13,000. On August 13, 2018, the normally quiet town finds itself in the spotlight after Shanann Watts and her two young daughters mysteriously vanish.
The quiet community of Windham Hill is anything but quiet right now.
Player with the missing lady and her kiddos. Do you know her?
That lady is 34-year-old Shanann Watts. She's 15 weeks pregnant, and she and her two little girls, Celeste and Bella, haven't been seen since Monday.
Almost immediately, authorities are focusing their attention on Shanann's husband, 33-year-old Chris Watts. And it doesn't take them long to discover that the seemingly perfect family man has been secretly dating a co-worker from Anadarko Petroleum, where he works. A woman named Nicole Kessinger.
Been kind of hanging out with a guy recently, keeping it a secret. He works out, so he's super sexy. It's the best sex I've ever had. I'm hooked.
Shanann had taken her two daughters to North Carolina in late June for vacation, leaving Chris back in Colorado, alone for 5 weeks.
While Shanann was visiting her family in North Carolina on vacation for that month, that Chris was back at home, spending all this time with his mistress, Nicole.
But the affair is something Chris denies when he's brought into the police station for questioning the day after his family's disappearance.
So I need to ask you about your marriage and infidelity. Okay, tell me about it. I have never cheated on my wife.
It wasn't really something that I super wanted everybody to know about.
I gotta ask, what's her name? I don't have another one. You sure? I'm sure. Okay. Would you tell me if you did? Yes.
I was monogamous with him. I wasn't seeing any other men. But I wasn't like, hey, this is the guy I want to spend the rest of my life with. Honestly, he wasn't out of the marriage that he was already in.
Highly trained investigator over here, right? I see pictures of you from a few years ago, and I see you standing before me now. Okay, you've gotten pretty fit. Okay. You can imagine when guys start cheating or want to cheat, that's what happens. Yes. Tell me about it. But I did not cheat on my wife.
On the weekend of July 28th through the 29th, we went to the sand dunes. We went to the Great Sand Dunes National Park.
You're so damn sexy.
Thank you so much for coming out here with me, Christopher. I am having a wonderful time. You mean a lot to me, and I'm glad that you're having a blast. I am so out of breath.
He's taking her everywhere, even to his own home, the very home he shares with Shanann and his little girls.
I think I met him sometime in June, probably early June. It might have been May. I've been to that house twice, but it was very, very brief, and it was not like an extended stay.
I know for a fact I was at his house on July 4th, and I think the second time I went to his house was Saturday the 14th.
I saw a picture of his wife and one of his kids, and I remember thinking to myself, wow, she's so beautiful.
But Chris's mistress has drawn concern from authorities after deleting texts between her and Chris. According to police documents, the day after Chris's family disappeared, at 5 p.m. she searches, "Can cops trace text messages?" Minutes later, she searches, "How long do phone companies keep text messages?" And "Can you get printouts of text messages?"
The reason I deleted all this stuff with Chris is because he was making me feel really uncomfortable, and I didn't want to see it in my phone anymore.
You drew concern from me when you told me you deleted everything from Chris. I've already told you that. You understand why? There's no question as to why that might cause concern. Is there a concern that you're hiding something? Potentially.
Investigators ultimately recover thousands of files, ranging from texts, pictures, and videos to voicemails like these.
Hi. It's me. You guys just call me back when you have a chance. Bye. Hi. It's me. I miss your face. I was just calling to say hi. Call me back. Bye.
I want anybody to get some of those texts. Like, they have nothing to do with this case, and they're just like...
Between you and Chris?
Yes, they're just...
So, just tell me what you're...
They're just kind of raunchy.
Documents show there were a number of naked photos being sent back and forth, and Chris has devised a way to hide these from Shanann. Using an app called Secret Calculator, which looks and functions like a regular calculator. But when a secret passcode is entered, hidden photos and videos are revealed.
By her own admission, Nicole says she and Chris were having sex 3 to 4 times a day. And the last time they had sex was only 2 days before his entire family disappeared. Now, according to documents, Nicole was online searching how-to guides for sexual activity and on pornographic websites looking for information about threesomes.
We did complete forensic analyses of Nicole Kessinger's phone, the searches of pornographic sites, and that's how we recovered those.
But the affair isn't the only thing Chris is hiding.
I want you to have confidence in the fact that you had nothing to do with this disappearance. Like, we're going to find that out today. If you did have something to do with their disappearance, it would be really stupid for you to come in and take a polygraph today. You should not be here right now sitting in this chair if you had anything to do with Shanann and those little girls' disappearance, okay?
He's been brought back to the police station for a polygraph, and after giving Chris a series of practice questions before the actual polygraph, the investigators give Chris some news.
So, you obviously are a really bad liar. Have people told you that before? Like, to say you tell a lie, like they can tell.
Walking in there that day, just walking into that room, I knew I wasn't walking out.
Shanann Watts, a pregnant 34-year-old mother of 2, has been missing from her Frederick, Colorado home for nearly 3 days. Her 2 young daughters, Bella and Celeste, are also nowhere to be found. Police have just discovered Chris has been cheating on Shanann with a younger co-worker, Nicole Kessinger. Today, he's back at the police department for a second time for a polygraph.
I'm going to have a seat right here, Chris.
Is it on this?
Yep, I know. I'll explain what that is here in a little bit, but you don't have to worry. It's not on or anything right now. It's not gonna buzz you or anything.
I've never done this before.
I know. A lot of people haven't had polygraphs before. It's not like a normal thing that people go through. I want you to have confidence in the fact that you had nothing to do with this disappearance. Like, we're going to find that out today. If you did have something to do with their disappearance, it would be really stupid for you to come in and take a polygraph today. You should not be here right now sitting in this chair if you had anything to do with Shanann and the little girl's disappearance. If we do end up finding your wife and your 2 girls murdered, what do you think should happen to that person that would have done that?
The worst possible thing.
Like what?
It's either going to be like life in prison or the death penalty, isn't it?
Regarding Shanann's disappearance, do you intend to answer all of the questions truthfully?
Yes.
Do you know where Shanann is now?
No.
Did you physically cause Shanann's disappearance?
No.
Are you lying about the last time you saw Shanann?
No.
I need to go grade this.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
It is completely clear that you were not honest during the testing, and I think you already know that. You did not pass the polygraph test.
Okay.
Okay. So now we need to talk about what actually happened. I feel like you're probably ready to do that.
I didn't lie to you on that polygraph, I promise.
You did not pass the polygraph, so I know you were being accepted, so that's not even an issue right now. The issue right now is what happened to Shanann, Bella, and Celeste. That's the issue right now. Okay? So let's talk about that. I know you want to tell us. I can see it in your face. Holding this lie in is going to do nothing for you.
I want them back home, like...
But you know they're not coming back home. You know that.
We know a lot more than you do. But you weren't here today lying about something else. So we need to talk about that, okay? I'll show you the arm. I know. And this is very good.
I'm not proud of it. Like, I didn't think anything like that could happen. I don't think I'd ever do it, but I did.
I know. Keep going.
She accused me of it. I denied it. I she was on her and I felt horrible for it. Like, she was pregnant, and it was... I don't want to... I didn't hurt her. I cheated on her. I hurt her emotionally. I cheated on her. I saw her, took my breath away, and I never thought in a million years that could happen. I never felt that way about anybody in my lifetime.
She didn't do something.
She did anything to these kids. We both love them with all our hearts. There's no way.
You could have been an accident. Something happened in the house that you know about. You failed the polygraph test, right? This is not about, did you leave and your wife vanished and you didn't know anything about it. That was not what you were asked, okay?
Okay.
We know that something happened to all three of them. But I want to know, did something happen to these baby girls first that you had to take into your own hands and deal with?
You had to clean it up for us, Shanann.
Chris, you gotta tell us. There's something that happened to these baby girls.
I wonder if that last time with Shanann having sex had somewhat of a role in you thinking marriage for her.
She got home like at 2 o'clock. And, I felt very good. She started rubbing her hand on me and we ended up having sex. So when I woke her up, and it's like, hey, we just gotta talk. And I just told her, I don't feel compatible. I don't feel like it's gonna work. Like, I'm on top of her. She just told me, to get off of her. And she's like, I knew there was somebody else. I knew there was somebody else. I knew there was somebody else. I couldn't just say, yes, there is somebody else, but then she said, never gonna see the kids again. Never gonna see them again. Get off me. Don't hurt me. I've never done that before, but I ain't run anybody before, so I don't even know what kind of force I was putting on her neck. Like, why can't I just let go? I don't even want to know what she saw when she looked back at me. Honestly. Maybe she was praying. I just wish I could have let go. I was shaking. I didn't know what happened.
Hey, everybody. So, Chris and I are sitting here.
I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what I had done. She walked in, and she had her broken blanket with her. She's like, what's wrong? Mom? What'd you do? Mom, don't feel good. That's when I started to carry her downstairs. Got her back in the truck.
Disturbing.
Just thinking about an oil tank makes me want to throw up.
since the disappearance of Shanann Watts and her 2 daughters. The pregnant Colorado mother was last seen arriving home just before 2 a.m. from a business trip. Her husband, Chris Watts, has just failed a polygraph test. Chris is now about to tell investigators and his dad where the bodies of his family are located.
There's no bringing them back. Where are they? That's our first location I went to yesterday.
What happened?
𝐬𝐲𝐽 319 is an oil site located on 𝐬𝐲𝐽 Ranch, a sprawling and secluded 35,000-acre cattle ranch. Officers have had their eye on 𝐬𝐲𝐽 319 since the day after Chris's family disappeared. Using data from tracking devices Chris's company uses on their work trucks, officers are able to see exactly where Chris went the morning of August 13th, just hours after Shanann arrived home. And it's here, 𝐬𝐲𝐽 319, a 45-minute drive from Chris's home on Saratoga Trail.
Where'd you from? In the mountain.
Car suburb.
In the passenger compartment?
Car said, honestly, like I try to picture that whole ride, the whole trip out there. I mean, it's like I was on, like I wasn't thinking. I'm hoping that I wasn't, like, that I wasn't coherent enough to make that decision to where I knew I was going to kill my girls.
Cece and Bella, just 3 and 4 years old, were found placed inside separate 20-foot-tall oil tanks through a small 8-inch opening called a thief hatch on top. On the east tank, where Chris had placed Cece, authorities find several strands of hair still attached to the tank. Just 100 feet from the tanks, authorities also find Shanann buried in a shallow grave, just 2 feet deep. She was face down and in the fetal position, dressed in a blue pair of underwear, a t-shirt and bra. After initially telling officers it was Shanann who killed the girls before he killed her in a fit of rage, Chris finally admits what really happened in gruesome detail. The events you're about to hear him describe are extremely disturbing.
Once you get to the site, what happens?
So I get to that one site and I get Shanann out to that. Just pull over to the part right off the site there.
Okay.
And the girls are still in the truck.
Okay.
Did they ask you what you were doing, taking mommy out, or?
Yeah, I don't remember what I told them, but they did ask that.
What they say specifically?
It was more like, you know, what are you doing to mommy? And took Shanann out.
What were the girls doing when you were doing that?
Just sent them back in the truck.
And then what happened after that?
Cece was first. Put the blanket over her head. I strangled her right there in the back seat.
What was Bella doing?
She's sitting beside her. Said exactly the same thing that happened to me and Cece. I don't know if I just said yes, like a horrible person, or if I just put that blanket over her too and did the same thing. She said, "No, Daddy." That's what she said. It's like every time I close my eyes, I just hear her saying, "Daddy, no," and that was it. I hear that every day.
Was it your intent the whole time you were taking the girls out there that you were going to do that to them?
The thought process and all this, none of this makes sense. That's why I know you guys keep asking these questions, because it doesn't make sense to me.
guess, I mean, like, did you could have done it before you guys left and not had him, you know, alive in the backseat. They could have been with Shanann in the backseat and stuff.
I didn't think about anything really, like, as far as, like, how everything was going to happen. I don't know, like, why I left everything out there in the field and why, like, all this stuff, like, just, none of this makes sense.
He does take care of our girls. Like, he's probably the best father I could have asked for my children, and I couldn't have asked for a better man.
But Chris isn't done talking. In November of 2018, just wife and 2 girls, Chris Watts makes a stunning decision to plead guilty to multiple counts of murder.
Father and husband accused of killing his pregnant wife and their 2 little girls. You'll remember he made a public plea for his wife, his family to come home. Tonight, he's offering a plea deal to save his own life.
A Colorado man accused of killing his pregnant wife and 2 daughters back in August has reached a plea deal with prosecutors.
Prosecutors revealed they flew to Charlotte, North Carolina for a secret meeting with Shanann's family and got the go-ahead for a plea deal from the slain woman's mom, Sandra, that will spare him the death penalty.
He was sentenced to 5 terms of life in prison without the possibility of parole. Now, Chris Watts is telling his side of the story from behind bars to those who will visit him. Some of what he says is shocking.
I've spoken to Chris about 7 or 8 times since he's been incarcerated.
I visit him about every 2 to 3 weeks.
When Chris talks to me about Shanann, he talks to me about how great she was and how much he loved her. He adored his wife and he adored his kids.
He wishes he could kiss them and hug them again and that they would have a normal life.
You monster. Thought you would get away with this. I don't know how. The cameras do not lie. You buried my daughter Shannon and Nico in a shallow grave. And then you put Bella and Celeste in huge containers of crude oil. You heartless monster.
Your daughter Bella Marie sang a song proudly. And I don't know if you got to see it, but it was, Daddy, you're my hero.
My daddy is a hero. He helps me grow up strong.
He wants to be Bella's hero again. He wants to make up for what he's done.
He always tells me that he wishes he could just hear Bella and Cece say, "I love you, Daddy."
Bella fought back for her life. The frenulum, the connective tissue between her upper lip and her gum, had a centimeter and a half laceration. She bit her tongue multiple times before she died. She fought back for her life as her father smothered her. I still believe that his primary motive was an effort to be with Nicole Kessinger.
He could have had that capacity to do that, whether I was in his life or not. He could have had the capacity to do that, maybe not even just for them. It could have been me.
Some people may be tempted to assign blame to Nicole Kessinger, but really, her only crime is falling for a line as old as the hills. "Don't worry, honey, I'm leaving my spouse." That's the only thing you can blame this woman for.
But it's still hard to understand how having an affair can then lead to you killing your wife, your 2 little girls, your unborn baby, and putting them in oil tanks.
He's truly sorry. He's truly remorseful.
Chris has said that he feels like there was an evil spirit that took over him, that he felt like somebody was physically taking his hands and making him strangle his wife and children.
We know it takes a fairly lengthy period of time for one human being to strangle another. And during the course of that time, the defendant would have been looking at his daughters, looking at his wife while he suffocated the life out of them. And to do that over an extended period of time, 3 different times, makes this a very deliberate, very intentional murder in my mind.
I look outside every day and like, what could we be doing right now? Right now I'd have a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and more than likely a 1-month-old son. And a beautiful wife. And just like, right now it's just me.
Chris's mom, Cindy Watts, reads us an exclusive jailhouse letter she recently received from Chris.
Happy birthday, Mom. 64. I wish I could be there with everyone to celebrate, or even just FaceTime to feel like I'm there. I know being incarcerated isn't where you wanted me to be, or even thought I would end up here. All kinds of people will form opinions because of this tragedy. But what they say doesn't matter. Their words should be like the wind. It comes, then passes away. Happy birthday. I love you, Mom. Love and God bless. Chris.
This is a story about a family that seems so perfect. And I think why everyone was so fascinated with this case is because if it could happen to this family, then it means that maybe it could happen to your family.
He is the best thing that has ever happened to me.
Daddy is a hero. He helps me grow up strong. He helped me not go too. He reads me books. He ties my shoes. If you're a hero, blue and blue, my daddy, I love you. Girl, where? You're so smart. Merry Christmas. Say happy birthday.
Birthday.
It's been nearly a year since Chris Watts brutally murdered his pregnant wife and 2 young daughters. This weekend, HLN has never before seen evidence, exclusive photos and interviews with those close to the family man turned murderer. Here's a look at the all-new Lies, Crimes, and Video. Killer Dad, Chris Watts speaks.
Shanann, Bella, Celeste, if you're out there, just come back.
What's her name? I don't have another one.
I think I met him sometime in June, probably early June. It might have been May.
Like every time I close my eyes, I start to see her saying, Daddy, no.
Still so heartbreaking, especially that last line there. Let's bring in crime journalist Pat Lalama. She was front and center in our coverage as we watch this play out. Pat, good to see you again. Well, now we're finding out some new stunning information about those visiting Chris Watts. The visitation list is out. Who's seeing this guy?
Well, you know, first of all, let me just say it's important to watch this special, Mike, because of all the cases I've covered in the last few years, this is the one most viewers have written me about, friends ask about at cocktail parties and dinners, because it's so horrific to think of a father dumping his 2 children down oil vats. There's so many unanswered questions. Now, back to your question. Yes, he has a few visitors, but one in particular is quite interesting. It's a woman named Anna, and she has met Chris after the fact, since he has been in prison, and he's opened up to her a lot. Now, take what you will about what he says about what drove him to his crimes, and a lot of those reasonings are behind his affair or involved in his affair with that 𝐭𝐻𝐶. Check it out.
Chris feels that if the affair would have never happened and she would have never came into his life, that the murders would never have happened. He thinks that she had this strong control over him, that he describes like a leash that he wasn't able to get off of or get away from, and he thinks that that has played a role in what happened.
So he's claiming it's the hold on him by the mistress.
Mike,
that's what was the key.
Mike,
wow.
Listen to this. I mean, this shouldn't shock you, because all along it's somebody else's problem. It's never that he takes responsibility.
Correct. You're right.
And you know, you remember all these sordid details about even Nicole admitting that they had sex 4 times a day. So yeah, maybe there was this sexual, hold that she had on him, but let's just make it clear, she had nothing to do with murder. She had nothing to do with driving him to murder, and she is not responsible in any way legally for these. And it's just, he's still appalling after all this time. I mean, it's hard to, we're supposed to remain objective as journalists, but it's just so hard to in this case.
Absolutely. I mean, and more stunning details like that coming up this Saturday. Anybody else visiting? And you got family members coming his way as well?
Well, you know what? He did have an actual physical contact meeting with his father. The first, as far as we understand it, the first person he actually got to, there was no partition between he and the visitor like he has with the new friend Anna. With his dad, he actually had a sit-down face-to-face with his father, and it'd be really interesting to find out, what those two talked about. It's a father loves his child no matter what, and I'd love to know, I'd love to be a fly on the wall during those meetings.
One other person, from what we gather, and correct me if I'm wrong, do we have an author in our midst who wants to hear his story? We gathering that?
I think there probably, most definitely, will be an author in the future. Hopefully he won't be able to capitalize financially on any of that, but yeah, I suspect you can find something like that down the road.
Kisses for a killer. That's Chris Watts' mistress, 𝐭𝐻𝐶, blowing him kisses and professing her love for him.
I'm having a wonderful time. You mean a lot to me, and I'm glad that you're having a blast. I am so out of breath.
The video, recorded just weeks before Watts murdered his wife and 2 daughters, was uncovered by HLN for their series Lies, Crimes, and Video, airing Saturday. Kyle Peltz is the show's producer.
There's photos and videos of them on a secret trip to the Great Sand Dunes while Shanann and Chris's 2 baby girls were away on vacation.
There you go, baby. That's Watts you hear behind the camera.
You're so damn sexy.
HLN also obtained voicemail messages 𝐭𝐻𝐶 left for Watts. She giggles like a schoolgirl.
Hi. It's me. I miss your face. I was just calling to say hi.
Watts also took these provocative photos of his 30-year-old co-worker. He stored them in a hidden folder on his smartphone.
He hides this on an app called Secret Calculator. It looks and functions like a regular calculator, but when you enter 4 digits, it's a secret vault. It opens up and it reveals hidden photos and videos.
Watts claims he came clean about the affair to his pregnant wife Shanann the night he killed her and their daughters. He buried Shanann in a shallow grave and dumped his girls in silos of crude oil. The mistress told cops she had no idea he was planning to murder his family.
This shocked me just as much as I think it shocked the rest of the world.
Watts is serving 3 life sentences, but being behind bars hasn't stopped his womanizing ways. This woman, who calls herself Anna, seems to be infatuated with him.
I visit him about every 2 to 3 weeks.
But 𝐭𝐻𝐶 has cut off all ties to the monster.